Welcome everybody. I'm Sarah, aka Loopersomm, and I'm going to be tasting through two Gruner Veltliners today as a part of my larger summer white wines tasting from Trader Joe's. So the whole point of buying the summer haul from Trader Joe's is to see which summer white wines are the best bang for your buck. So I'm starting off with two Gruner Veltliners today. One is from Austria, one is from Hungary. And I have my setup in front of me. I have the two wines. I have my spittoon. I have a glass of water that's off camera. I also have two glasses of wine, which I have written the names on with a wet erase so that it comes off in the sink so that I don't mess up which wine is which. So that was the Floriana, and then this one is the Gruner. I also have my tasting book right in front of me. I have written out my tasting grid for the first wine. This is the Austrian one, and I go through a systematic approach to tasting. I evaluate the wine's appearance, nose, and palate. And within the nose and the palate, it's really the palate where I get into the nitty-gritty. And that's where I assess its overall deliciousness. So let's get started. The Floriana goes into my left glass. Ooh, I saw a little bit of smoke come out of that. That is carbon dioxide gas, which I can also see. Okay, so they both look pretty much the same. Both of these on first glance, I would say, are pale lemon. There's a particular brilliance to them both with flecks of platinum, I'd say. All right, the Floriana also has some gas bubbles, some carbon dioxide around the perimeter of I should say the circumference of the pour, but let's get to it. So the Floriana is a pale lemon, and I tilt this at a 45-degree angle away from me, up against a white surface, which is my notebook. So this is indeed a pale lemon. It fades to a thin, watery band. There's no evidence of sediment, but there is evidence of some gas, which would indicate to me that it was bottled shortly after it was fermented, which traps some of the dissolved CO2, and CO2 is a byproduct of fermentation. On the nose. Ooh, that smells immediately like, first of all, it is quite pronounced. So it is medium plush / P for pronounced. And I got baby powder, chalk. There is like a candied lime, candied citrus. It really quite is overwhelming with baby powder. So what I'm going to do, because there's a very distinctive and pronounced one note that I keep getting, what I'm going to do is put it on my palate to see if it changes, to see if I get anything else, and also to smell the wine retronasally, which means basically in reverse. So let's do this on the palate. Touch of mineral, and that mineral is a wet river rock. It's gray. It's round. It just has like a very fresh, like a fresh mineral water. As I brought it up to my nose, I did get a poof of CO2, kind of when you open up a can of Coke or a can of soda and you bring it up too fast to your nose and you're like, oh my God, and it kind of knocks you out a little bit. I got a touch of that. Let's go back to the palate. This is bone dry. So we're going to taste this again and look for its acidity, alcohol, and body. The acidity is medium plus, the alcohol is medium, the body's medium. The flavor characteristic, it is primary and youthful, meaning the fruit is very fresh. The flavor intensity, I put this at medium plus. The finish, I'm going to come back to the finish to see how much longer it lasts, because right now it is, I'd say, a medium finish or a moderate finish. There was a slight prickle on my palate from the CO2. And so now as I'm thinking of the finish, does this taste the way that it smelled? Did it taste like baby powder? Not really. That baby powder moved into that wet, slick, gray, rounded stone, river water, fresh mineral water. It does taste pretty limey. Candied citrus, it doesn't really taste candied now. It really has almost like a touch of floral, like how you get floral notes out of the citrus. The finish is still there, so I would put this at a long finish. Other assessments, this is a simple, straightforward. You know what's funny? I'm getting a little bit of a sulfur headache. And sulfur, SO2, sulfur dioxide, is used in tablet form. It can be used in gas or in powder. And more than likely, because I saw that smoke as soon as I opened it up, my guess is that they shot this with a little bit of SO2, or maybe a lot of SO2. And you do that to keep the wine fresh and to keep any other kind of bacteria outside, or to kill the bacteria so that your wine doesn't become, a cesspool. So simple, straightforward. I'm going to see if this blows off. So I'll remind myself, did the CO2 blow off? Otherwise, I think this is a perfectly fine wine. I rate my wines 1 through 5, 5 being outstanding. Very rarely do I give 5s. Most wines tend to hover around 3. I'll give it a 3 plus, 3 plus plus. If I really like something, it's a 4. 4 plus and 4 plus plus when I really love something. And again, 5 when it is outstanding. I'm going to give this a 3/plus and see how it does tomorrow. Okay, the Gruner. So I need to write down what this wine is. And this wine is a 2022 from Niederösterreich, the Gruner. Appearance. This is also a pale lemon. Brilliant with flecks of platinum on the nose. Not quite as pronounced as the Florian. So the nose on this I would put medium. And what does it smell like? There's a flinty note, which is more than likely from sulfur dioxide. Also citrus, it's a bit more lemony. Also has a pithy note. It's not that you can smell bitterness, but it smells a little bit bitter. There's a vegetal note, endive. What is the lettuce I'm thinking of? I'm just going to put a baby lettuce where it's white near the base. Okay, let's try this on the palate. Palate is dry. I'm going to come back to the acidity. The alcohol is medium, body is medium, flavor intensity is medium plus. Flavor characteristic, it is primary and youthful. This has a little bit more going on the palate than it did on the nose. It has a few more facets to it. There's a touch of that flinty note. There is that pithy citrus. And there also is that slightly bitter baby lettuce endive. There is a gentle herbal note of bay laurel. Now, second taste. Acidity is medium plus, nearly high. I put medium plus / high. There's a touch of a Pilsner beer head, which indicates to me lees, or a yeasty note, which tells me that probably rested on its lees for a handful of months prior to it being bottling. When you do that to a white wine, rest it on its lees for a few months, you add a little bit of body, a little bit of flavor, and it helps fill in the weight and texture of the wine so that the wine doesn't feel like water on your palate. I like this. I'm going to give this a 3++, and then I'm going to retaste it tomorrow. So that is how I go through wines. I take about 4 minutes or so per wine, 5 minutes. I'm going a little bit longer now because I'm walking you through it, but that's how I do it. And results coming soon.